energies and the Dajjal movement upon this earth. And the just of that is that we have to bring that reality into ourselves and to make ourselves from that reality. Otherwise all the locations in the world and understanding this location, that location, nothing saves us but the good character that we put upon ourselves, that Allah by virtue of those realities dresses the servant and grants them a protection, inshaAllah. Do you have any questions for tonight?
Say just a few personal ones.
Personal questions?
Yeah, they're probably better for the email.
Yeah, better that anyone has a question that would be more of a personal nature, then help me at Muhammadan.com inshaAllah on specific issues of that they would be related to only their person and not to a general question on the meditation, on the practices, on the wazifas and… Nothing else?
As-salamu alaykum Sayyidi, is it possible that one is facing difficulties often due to not having a strong connection with the Shaykh?
The question was, is it possible that one faces lots of difficulties because they don't have a strong connection with the Shaykh? Alaikum salam. InshaAllah that always can be a possibility, that the connection, and say that why Allah for Nabi Musa appeared as a burning bush, and had Nabi Musa not been in a condition of cold he probably wouldn't be looking for a burning bush. Had he been hot, I think the last thing he would want to approach was something hot. And for us is the symbolism that for every condition that we're in, Allah has an opening. Many people are in difficult conditions and Allah is granting an opening that go to these shaykhs. So they become like a door in which most in their time of life would not search for a reality, a solution, a group of people who are maybe more in love with Sayyidina Muhammad than themselves. Whatever they were perceiving, they probably wouldn't have looked for that without the difficulty that has come into their lives. So for many it's an opening towards a door. Now once they enter into that presence, enter into those associations, for them to have continued difficulties, and from many that we've talked to and given advice, yes they didn't actually take the practices. They never tell you that too, they just keep saying, oh what I'm doing is so many difficulties coming, so many difficulties, so many… and then you talk to them later and communicate, not talk to them by phone, because we don't take phone calls. A lot of people ask, can we have a WhatsApp and make a phone call with you? Can you imagine thousands of phone calls? We would just have to have a switchboard all day and night, 24 hours a day taking phone calls. The easiest way is through the email, because there are people who can filter it and give us something so that we can respond to. So there's a whole system that's been built into it. But the understanding was that as soon as you communicate with the people, well actually Shaykh, you know I'm doing Reiki, and I'm not really doing your wazifa, and my grandparents gave me these three other things I recite, so by the time I get to those I don't really get to this, and I'm doing this and I'm doing all these different practices. Only later they tell you that they're not really doing the Naqshbandi practices. They kind of mix and match and make their own soup. So of course it's like a doctor's office. If you go to a doctor and it's like a Harvard Med School, the highest school of medicine, and then all its accreditations, and you go to that office and you get the advice and you walk out and don't listen to any of it, you can only blame yourself for the sicknesses and difficulties you face. And if you take their advice and mix it with 5 other doctors, a little bit from Karachi, somewhere from this one, somewhere from this one, yeah, I can imagine what kind of again it becomes like a stew, just mix with everything. My grandmother said to recite this, my brother-in-law said to recite this, the mailman he came by, he gave me wazifa for this, and I threw in some of the things that you said too, Shaykh. So that becomes the difficulty. Now if you're doing all the practices and you're sticking firmly to these wazifas, you're doing the meditations, you're building your energy and partitioning your time to make that connection, and the significant difficulty has not ceased, that would be pretty astonishing. So that is a rare case. And even the ones who say, no I stopped everything, but no, they really didn't, because then they go here, they go there, they don't cover, they don't keep the sunnah, they don't keep wudu, they eat from this, they eat from that. So there's all these places in which difficulties are entering into people. But the main thing is you try your best in life, and the rest is to be patient with what Allah is sending of whatever testing Allah is sending. So it gives us a sabr and a patience, and if we have istiqam and firmness in our belief and we want to do more, we want to be vigilant in doing the practices, then that's a grant from Allah that we become firm. Some people need outside motivational forces to make them believe, unfortunately. What we call proactive and reactive, is that the correct understanding? Proactive, somebody who doesn't need any difficulty and will take all the steps necessary to make sure they're good, they're set. Reactive personality is the one who waits for something to hit them, then they say, now it's time to get up. And then when they're up they wait for another thing to hit them and they say, oh now it's time to move a little bit forward. Those types of characters are, that's unfortunate that they are like that. That it's better to be more that proactive, I'm going to take necessary moves so that nothing hits me, inshaAllah.
As-salamu alaykum Sayyidi.
Wa alaykum salam wa rahmatullah.
When a student sins in any way, does it weigh on the shaykh in a bad way? Forgive me if I ask something wrong. Jazakallah khair.
When the student what?
When a student sins.
Oh, when the student sins, does it weigh upon the shaykh in a bad way? Yeah, the students who don't like you and you say that on air, then they all want to go and do sins thinking they're hurting you. But that's not the reality. The reality is that it doesn't look good for the shaykh. And especially if the shaykh is not teaching anything that, oh your students are all doing these crazy things, they have bad character, they're angry, they go around and exhibit a character more like a gangster than a murid, then yes, then that would reflect upon the shaykh. So we've given an example. If you go into a store and you see the employees are very mean, very aggressive and really bad character, I guarantee you the manager's bad, because they're reflections of his character or her character. That the manager has a disrespect for people and an inappropriate way to teach, and as a result all of the lower managers are picking up that same characteristic and they put it out onto anyone who comes into the store. And that's human nature. And if you go somewhere and the people are so polite, so kind and so loving, I can guarantee that the manager is that way. And that 100% is the case. You'll see the manager comes out and tries to resolve everything themselves. So same understanding, that if the shaykh is teaching with a good character, with love and with muhabbat, and that's why it's 90% are not teaching muhabbat. They're teaching usul and thinking that only the Islamic laws matter, but they didn't, or they forgot that this law was supposed to lead you somewhere. The goal wasn't the Islamic law. The goal was that if you applied these laws on you, you would have raised yourself, your resonance and frequency and energy to the oceans of muhabbat, and that's why we talked in the levels of the nafs. Levels of the nafs from 5, 6, 7 are all Allah's oceans of muhabbat and love, in which Allah addresses the soul with the reality of Divinely names, the reality of how everything is created from love, and from this ocean of love everything is manifesting. So that is important, that the shaykh has to be of that character, that everything is based on love with good character and the love of Sayyidina Muhammad. As a result of that, then they're picking up those characteristics, and that they're constantly being disciplined and taught that, please have good characteristics, have good characteristics. And we talked last night that a shaykh from a distance just teaching and no interaction with people is very difficult. So in old times and not so old times, you'd go to Mawlana Shaykh, and he has a farm in Lefke, and he has orange fields and sheeps and the products that a farm would have, and everybody who came had to go out into the farm with the products that they have. So you went out into the orchard, you did your sheep, you did your grass cutting and all the other things that you do on a farm. And the interaction with that student, and now the shaykhs, because the shaykh had his representatives out in the field, of the guy who didn't want to cut the oranges, the guy who didn't do the sheep correctly, the one who didn't want to do it. All of that interaction was a way for the student to find that their characteristics, and oh, I came to sit with the shaykh and get knowledges, why am I cleaning the sheep now? So all of these were a way in which to test the student. You come to submit and you came to give your bayat, not take bayat, because give means I'm going to give myself to this reality, I'm not going to take from it everything. So there was a whole reality of the turuqs. Well, everything shuts down and people are following from thousands of miles across, Allah opens a different way so that you interact with the center, you interact with the emails, you interact with the items that we have. We don't have oranges and sheep and hay, we have online stores and online items and merchandise and whatever it is that we have, charity we have, all of these things that we have, it opens for the ability to interact now with students. People get angry that, what's like this, and how come I emailed and nobody emailed me back? That's the equivalent of being in the field and saying that, I didn't come here to pick oranges for you, I came here to get answers from you. And tariqah is more about, it doesn't matter why you came, whatever you came was the reason and how they brought you. But that doesn't mean that's what Allah wanted for you. Allah wanted you to be attracted to them, go towards them, and now let them test you and show you what type of characteristics you have within yourself. Before they would come to the zikr and they would be angry that the food is late, and we said many times, and you tell people, look, this is not a soup kitchen, you'll get the food when the food is served. And all this is showing is that you're impatient and you have anger issues, and that's what God wanted you to see at the zikr, that you came to remember God but you're impatient and angry, and that was the medicine, that was exactly what was needed for that servant. But they didn't pick it up and they just got angry why the food wasn't on time. So every interaction with the tariqah at any level is a test for the student. It didn't come on time, well, who cares? It's all under Allah's permission, it's testing sabr and patience. How can anything be on time in the middle of a pandemic when you can't go 5 feet without the doors being closed? People are being closed in now with police outside saying that you're not allowed to go out. So it requires immense patience for everything. And if we want Allah's nazar and we want our heart to be a Kaaba, then it has to be clean and pure. Anger is the opposite of faith. Every instance of anger has to be destroyed until whatever sparks in that person is not from anger. Because whatever sparks of anger now is all ifrit in the air, millions of shaitans are in the air of people, and that's why when they breathe them in they're dying. what you call COVID. So when these shaitans are coming and into people, as soon as they have this fire of anger, these shaitans completely override the person and make them to go amazingly crazy. And that's